My name is Goldman. I'm the director and founder of Goldman and Associates. Our firm has a primary focus on family law issues here in Michigan, and today I'm continuing the video series designed to educate and inform the public, so please subscribe to our channel. The selection of a lawyer to handle a divorce or custody case, or really any family law matter, requires you to find somebody with whom you will identify. Now, we see this a lot, that lawyers are hired by people who identify with how they see things. So if you've got clients, or if you've got, let's say, your ex, who's sort of not a very straight shooter, a little bit dishonest in how he does things, he says one thing means something else. You get a client like that, he's probably going to get a lawyer who's got similar traits. And lawyers that are, routinely involved in this kind of work, we all know that if there's a certain lawyer who says, calls up and says, oh, I'm representing so-and-so, we already know what that client is like, because we have experience with that lawyer. Clients tend to find lawyers with whom they identify who see the case just like they do. So in your situation, what are you going to want? When you pick your lawyer, you're going to want to have someone who's got compassion for your situation, somebody who's got experience to help you out, somebody who can represent you and tell you realistically, this is what you're looking at, this is what's going to happen. Worst case scenario, it's going to be this. Best case scenario, it's going to be that. And somebody who can do this and hopefully do it in such a way where your needs are protected and it doesn't cost you a fortune. You can still survive financially when it's over. That's the goal. That's what you should be looking for. Now, how do you find that? It's really a question of two things. Number one, you've got to explain to the lawyers that you're talking to exactly what's involved in your case, and you've got to give them an idea of what you're budgeting for. Because if you tell them what's involved and you tell them what the budget is, then they will be able to tell you, this is what you can do, and this realistically can be done given the constraints of your budget. And I'm spending time talking about budget now because while some people may feel that it's somewhat classless or somehow something that we shouldn't give voice to, the money shouldn't be what's important, it's the children and the marriage and all that that's important. Let's be realistic for a minute. Let's not engage in the fantasy that the money doesn't control. You and I both know that you can get the greatest lawyers in the world, but if the budget doesn't support it, they're not going to be able to help you. I cannot tell you how many times clients have called up and said, I wonder if I could do this case. I've got a custody battle. I have to get my kids. I have to do it. And can I pay $200 a month? Well, here's the problem with that. You have to ask yourself this question. Let's say you're paying $400 an hour. Let's make it the low number, $300 an hour. You're paying $300 an hour. That means $200 is 2/3 of an hour. It's 40 minutes. If you're going to tell your lawyer, I want a budget of $200 a month, that means you're really saying to your lawyer, I want you to win my case, but I only want you to work 40 minutes a month, 10 minutes a week. Can your custody case be won on 10 minutes a week? If it can, beautiful. But you know what? I don't think it can. Doing this for 38 years and running this firm with all the lawyers and all the personnel, I've never seen a case that can be won with putting that little effort into it. If it was so easy, it wouldn't require lawyers in the first place. So it's important for you to be realistic, not just about what you want, but what it's going to cost. And a good lawyer is going to say to you, look, I appreciate what you're saying, but you need to realize that what you're asking me to do cannot reasonably be done within that budget, so you're going to have to do one of two things. You're going to have to increase your budget, or you're going to have to compromise on something. Maybe you don't fight for custody. Maybe you offer a joint situation. Or maybe you don't spend all that money fighting about the value of the business or the value of the house, and maybe you accept some sort of compromise. It's up to you to decide, but you can't hold your lawyer responsible for that, because it's like going to buy a house. If you want to spend $500,000, maybe you can get some beautiful house somewhere, but if you decide your budget is $150,000, well, you're going to have a few less bedrooms and a few less bathrooms, and maybe you won't be in this neighborhood, maybe you'll be in that neighborhood, maybe you'll be further from, out in the suburbs as opposed to an expensive place, in the inner city. So, my point is like this. It's like any other purchase you have, in your life. You've got to figure out what your goals and objectives are and what the financial means are to actually accomplish those goals. So you want to get somebody who understands your position, but you want to clearly communicate it to them. In other words, if you really don't care about who gets the car or who gets the house, if you don't care about that, tell your lawyer that so he or she won't spend a lot of resources fighting over something that you don't really care about. On the flip side, if there's something you really do care about, expect to spend significant resources pursuing that. It's the only way for you at the end of it all to feel satisfied with the arrangement. Because let's face it, when it's all over, everybody's going to have a feeling of emptiness. We paid a lot of money, we only got half of this and half of that, and everything got displayed in front of the public. We lost all our privacy. It was a horrible situation. That's probably going to be the case when you go before a judge and you go into court and you kind of air your marriage in public. That's probably what's going to happen. At the very least, though, you could accomplish your goals. But I encourage you to be realistic about your goals. And it's not that if a lawyer says, well, I'm sorry, that's going to cost you $8,000, and you can say, well, he's not being compassionate, she's not listening to me. Yeah, she's listening to you, all right. But what the lawyers are telling you is, look, you've got to be realistic about what you can afford from the standpoint of the battle. A battle requires bullets. If you don't have the bullets, you can't undertake the battle. You got to go around. So these are things you need to consider. Now, if you have any questions about your particular case, give us a call. Let's discuss the real goals and objectives and where we are, and then we'll be able to figure out how best to accomplish this task.